My name is Dwayne Henderson with Cree Lighting's Training and Education team. And for those watching this session live, happy Friday. Our e-learning series will help you get control of your Fridays because Fridays are our control sessions. So this is the first in that series of control sessions. Just a reminder, the sessions will be 15 minutes in content. So once the presenters start, expect 15 minutes of content. The presenters will hang around for Q&A. The participants are all muted, and we encourage you to use the Q&A box or chat box to submit your questions. Today's presenter is a lover of technology and a member of our intelligent team. Good morning, Chris Evens.
Yeah, good morning, Dwayne. And that was a sneaky dad joke you got in there, but
yeah,
nicely done.
Thank you. Well, you know why they call them dad jokes, right?
How's that?
The punchline is always apparent. That's another dad joke for you.
Very nice, very nice.
Well, Chris, it's interesting. Controls are everywhere. We really can't run away from them, and it's interesting. You have subject matter experts like you, and a lot of the agencies will have a controls expert on the team. But really, all of us can benefit from understanding these systems more completely. And looking at your presentation, home automation is kind of similar. You have people that fully embrace home automation, and there are some people that have probably very few or maybe even no smart devices within their home. So within this presentation, it's really about how do you take that smart home experience and leverage it into knowledge that can better help us understand our customers really in the commercial space to be more successful. So do you want to kick it off?
Yeah, sounds good. So thanks. And yeah, a little intro, I guess, first off, thanks everybody for joining today. I appreciate your interest in this topic. Wherever you are, I hope you're well. Happy Friday. I guess a little background on me. I've been at Cree Lighting now for about 6 years, and today I work on our intelligent lighting marketing team. So I work with SmartCast and now Odyssey and Synapse product lines, and our new Lutron options that are coming on as well. Everything from creating marketing content on these products to supporting our sales team in the field, and even get to help with developing our future products, which is a lot of fun for me. So not surprisingly, I am also a smart home hobbyist based on today's topic. So again, I'm just going to jump right in here and get going. So high-level overview, we're basically going to kind of try to define a smart home and a smart device to start out, and then look at how these devices fit into our homes and applying that to how they fit into our commercial buildings as well, and the similarities there. And then I'll leave you with some of my favorite products and some recommendations if you want to take it to the next level while you're stuck in the house. Order some of these products online or whatever it may be. You can start playing around and seeing what you think. So anyway, to get us started, let's define a smart home. And I actually did a search for this to see what I could find, and one of the first results, not surprisingly, smarthome.com. I thought this was actually a pretty good representation of what we're talking about here. So we're really talking about a residential building, obviously a house, with internet connected devices that help you manage and monitor a range of appliances or systems in your home from anywhere in the world, anywhere you've got your phone. Or, it wouldn't necessarily just be your phone. Maybe it's your computer or some other device, but the growth of this market has really expanded, similar to what we're seeing in the commercial world as well. But it seems to be a little bit ahead in a lot of ways. Anyway, there's a growing number of applications that you can apply smart home to. Just a number of them on the screen, and you may have played with some of these products over the years. Some of you may have one or two of these in your home and already have a smart home going. So anyway, we're going to talk about that some more today. And then also, to help us understand this, I wanted to apply this a little bit to this idea of an IoT device and what we call the IoT Device Continuum. And if you're not familiar with IoT, this will be a topic for next week's Friday session on kind of the intro to the IoT. But this is basically, this stands for the Internet of Things. This is the idea that you're integrating technology and the internet into any sort of device. So there is a range here, or a spectrum, so to speak, and that starts with everything from a dumb device on one end of the spectrum to a smart device, to a connected device, and to an IoT device. And we can really start to define these as well. So, on the dumb device level, this is pretty simple. This is really something that doesn't have any technology in it. So in our, well, any relative technology that I should say. So LED fixtures obviously have lots of technology in them. However, if they don't have sensors or processing or any ability to network or connect to other systems, they're in this respect they're a dumb device. So think LED fixture in this regard. So a smart device would take this up a notch, maybe introduce some basic sensors and basic computing power or programming into the system, not necessarily connecting it with any other external things or other software or anything, but just local control only. So think of an LED fixture with a daylight sensor in it. So that sensor's there just locally telling that fixture to turn on and off. Take it to the next level, a connected device. So this is expanding the number or types of sensors you have, more powerful computing inside the device, but then also the ability to maybe connect to other devices around it. So think about a networked LED fixture in our world. So one that has maybe an occupancy sensor and a daylight sensor, but can also group with fixtures around it and do other things in that regard, but doesn't necessarily have the internet and software. And that's where the IoT device really comes into play. And that's where we're seeing more and more of that in the commercial world, but this is really much more further ahead in the consumer world for a number of different reasons. But this is basically just putting more powerful computing, more advanced intelligence, and connecting it into the internet. And this is, think of a connected LED fixture that can do some of the fancier features you see today. So anyway, a lot of what we're going to talk about in respect to smart homes today is an IoT level device. So let's jump in and start looking at it. So as we think about our smart home, I basically broke this up into three kind of categories. And at the basic level, simple devices. And in our home, I categorize these as Wi-Fi based devices, mainly because you probably already have Wi-Fi in your house. So there are a number of devices and an increasing number of devices available out there that you can go buy today, install them, plug them in, turn them on, and they're going to connect directly into your Wi-Fi network. The apps are really easy to use. They're relatively simple in regards to the network needs. So nice, simple devices. And then it starts to get a little more advanced as you get with what I bucketed as hub-based devices. So we'll talk a little bit about those, and then also a little higher level even where you might have to pull out some programming for some of your more advanced systems. So first off, Wi-Fi devices to show you what we would call a topology in kind of the network world. Here's what your house looks like, a representation of you've got your Wi-Fi router and it's creating a Wi-Fi network that encompasses the area around it. So you're able to connect a variety of devices into that, including your phone or your computer, and start to play and control devices. So that's pretty basic in how it lays out at this level. And you want to take it up a notch, you can look at these hub-based devices. And the example I give here is a SmartThings system by Samsung. So one example of a variety of devices out there, but this allows you to connect a different type of device or class of device into your smart home system. Specifically, low power or battery driven devices that can't really utilize Wi-Fi are used in these types of networks. And this would be like a Zigbee network or Z-Wave, if you've ever heard of that reference. So very similar to a Wi-Fi network, you would install one of these hubs into your home and actually connect it into your Wi-Fi network or router. And then it allows you to add a new variety of devices into your home. Really start to advance, what can you do by having all these devices in one big network together. And then taking it up to the next level. And this is probably where we see it more common in the commercial world, but getting to what I would bucket as a home automation system, our commercial equivalent of a building automation system. So this is where, if you've ever heard of a Raspberry Pi, this is where you would actually start to load these types of things into your network, so you can do even advanced types of integrations across different devices and different systems. So again, it's more of a programming level required type of thing, but a great way to play around with your smart home and see how it applies to the commercial world. And that those types of systems would essentially just layer over everything else. So anyway, just gives you a good visualization of how all these networks come together, how the devices lay out, and how you can start to bring it together into one big system. So as we think about the commercial world, we can apply the same type of thing, at the simple level in the lighting world would be like an intelligent lighting control system. So, the example for us would be a SmartCast system, and that's, basically your simple level devices that are going to give you lighting control. Maybe you just want that dynamic skylight experience, whatever it may be. But then you can layer on top of that and start, networking these systems to a larger extent, connecting them into software applications to get analytics and greater degrees of control and integration, and then taking it up to that next level of building automation systems. So connecting them into a BACnet environment, helping the sensors in your light fixtures, for example, control your HVAC system or something along those lines. So an increasingly a wide variety of applications in this regard, and where we're starting to see more of our industry pushing toward. So,
Chris?
Yeah.
Real quick question on that slide. You have from a code compliance, so sometimes that's just driving it. Which bucket would that fall in?
That's a good one, Dwayne. Yeah, so your code compliance is typically, for the most part, going to fall in that simple bucket, at least in with respect to lighting control. So, this is probably the biggest demand in the market for lighting control, is code compliance. So, so we want to make sure that that's a simple step for people to take. Yeah, so more specifically to like a SmartCast system, this is kind of how that would look like. At the simple level, you can just get away with your lighting control and then expand that system out as you would like to, or as a customer would find it applicable over time. So this is really relative to the same way you would scale your smart home. So kind of the punchline here, how does this help you in the commercial world? So I noticed over time as I was, tinkering with my smart home, out talking to customers and agents and partners, there's actually a lot of similarities here, and this really did help me. And when I'm talking to that facilities guy that has to mess with his building automation system, or with the IT guy who's concerned about his Wi-Fi networks, I had a better understanding for those just because I was toying around with this stuff and driving my wife crazy at home. So, so anyway, here's a few practical ways. It gives you experience with managing and understanding building networks like Wi-Fi networks and other networks that you run into in those environments. You get experience with actually installing and setting up new devices. So, what does it take to actually put a wall switch in and connect in a neutral and do all these different things, and then try to get it connected to your network? So you go through that and you feel the pains and the challenges, but also the conveniences that come out of it. Experience tweaking settings and automations to make stuff work. You introduce a new motion sensor to your kitchen maybe, or your hallway, when you come in from the garage. Well, it's not just going to know which light to turn on, so you got to go in and tell it what to do. And similarly on the lighting control side, we talk about lighting controls all day. You get to experience what timeouts are in your home environment, and how maybe that affects your workspace or wherever you're trying to do those types of things. You get to experience the feedback loop from your occupants. This is a big part of your customer's life. Hey, your lights are all dimming near the window. What's wrong with them? They're actually daylight harvesting. They're supposed to do that. So your roommates are going to give you some feedback, whether that's your significant other or your kids or whomever it is. You're going to be told if something's not working the way it should. You also get to see how cybersecurity is actually implemented and managed. So how do you authenticate a new device? How do you connect it to the network safely? How do you access the network through your app? So you'll get to experience how we protect these networks and these systems, which is arguably significantly more important in the commercial world, and probably one of the bigger barriers to why that world has lagged a little bit in the technology integration. And then finally, you just appreciate all the conveniences and challenges of smart building technology. Yeah, there are plenty of challenges to getting these systems to work and operate, and we work every day to make them simpler and more streamlined. But and it's all about that convenience you get at the end of the day. Was it worth it? And it is. It does require patience sometimes, but anyway, it's an important part of it, and it helps you be more resilient to that as well. So anyway, I hope this makes sense to you and applies. And if you're excited about running out and installing a new device, I had some favorites I wanted to throw out to you. And I'll just say it right now. You'll notice this is going to look like a Nest ad really quick, but I just really love their products. I've migrated more and more to them over time. So anyway, here's a few of my favorites. The Nest Protect is probably my single most surprisingly useful. Oh, there's my timer. Single most surprisingly useful device in my home. It detects smoke when you're burning something in the kitchen cooking, and it warns you before it starts blaring that it's about to start blaring. So it gives you a second to clear the room, and it's got a nice little night light on it. Just a really nice device. It does a daily check, so if you're concerned if it's working properly, it gives you a little report you can go and reference that its sensors are working and it's audibly it's working. So a really cool device. I'd recommend. Similarly, I think your Wi-Fi router, I know I talked to a lot of people that probably still use the one their cable company provided. You should really upgrade it. And the Nest Wi-Fi system is really impressive. Very easy to use. The app is great. Has some really nice features. And then finally, the Nest Hub is, again, one of my favorite devices. And I think it's really more that voice assistant. Being able to voice command your lighting or your music in your home is just, it's unbelievable until you've really done it. I really think we're going to see more and more of that in the commercial space in the future. Um, and yeah, I know there's a lot of privacy and all that that comes along with it, which is fun. So anyway, I also included a little list of my favorite products in here. So again, not necessarily promoting. We obviously don't sell products in this space for the most part, but anyway, I wanted to share this in case you wanted a place to start or products to consider. So anyway, with that, I'll wrap it up and stop for questions.
Great. Thanks, Chris. Really appreciate it. So everybody, if there are any questions, please, again, remember to use the chat box or the Q&A box, and we will entertain some questions. And hopefully, Chris, while we get that rolling, you had mentioned a little bit about cybersecurity, and I would guess, especially like in a commercial space, there's typically some conversations around that. Do you want to comment on that a little bit?
Yeah, I think obviously, I think cybersecurity is always going to be a concern whenever we connect something. But just because it's a potential risk doesn't mean we should not do something. Similar, just because there's a risk of getting in your car and driving somewhere doesn't mean you just walk everywhere you go. So there are ways to mitigate that risk, and I think we're doing it effectively in the commercial world. And so anyway, I would encourage you, especially some of your big name devices like Nest and Samsung, and are really doing some good stuff in regards to cybersecurity practices and helping to better secure these systems. So don't let it scare you away. And same with privacy. Read about it, look into it, but yeah, it's kind of all your comfort level and risk tolerance in that regard. But definitely don't make cybersecurity the reason you're not going to do something like this.
Perfect. All right, I'm not seeing any questions yet, so I'll give the audience one more moment to submit. Okay, here comes a question regarding how is Cree progressing in making all products SmartCast enabled, so a little bit more specific around SmartCast and what we're doing there.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Good question. So yeah, we're definitely, we agree with everybody who shares the opinion that we can't get SmartCast in enough luminaires and devices fast enough. So I think this year you'll see probably one of the most fixtures rolled out with SmartCast than you've ever seen. So in a single year period. So everything from our new ZRC with SmartCast to this new ZR retrofit kit with SmartCast. To Cadient, to Stylus, to the LS coming down the road. So there's a lot of exciting products coming in, and we're really working on the, we've developed the technology in a way that helps us scale it and roll it out into new products faster. So it's definitely a big part of our organization and our, what we're working towards.
Yeah, Chris, I think the other part you might want to comment on is the not only the ability to provide SmartCast in products, but the integration of SmartCast beyond our portfolio. Do you want to comment on that real quick?
Yeah, so kind of back to the integration side, building automation systems or using our API to connect into other systems. So we see that as a big part of the future, and obviously we have more than just SmartCast today. So we're actually positioned very well with all of our intelligent lighting product lines to really help be that provider of intelligent lighting that is really enabling that next degree of connected smart buildings. So,
And
with
for
each
those,
of our
and I was
systems,
going to say, Chris, those lovers of SmartCast, the 0 to 10 volt interface, especially, right? If you want to comment on that.
That's a good one too. Yeah.
What we've changed there, if people haven't been familiar or been watching real closely.
Yeah, so if you've not seen our new SmartCast Zone Controller, this is essentially a new version of our old interface module, and this is a much more robust unit in regards to its electrical limitations. So you can, for example, put it on. It can go on up to 14 C-Light 2x2 flat panels, for example. So you can really fit a lot of fixtures on one of these electrically. But then it's also got a more robust sensor payload. So you've got not only your passive infrared and light sensors that you'd expect, but also some environmental sensors, air pressure, humidity, temperature, and even VOCs, or essentially air quality. So we're starting to introduce new sensors into these systems to really, for these types of applications, for integrating into building automation systems and whatnot. So yeah, good one.
Yeah, so we went from the value of LED lighting to simple control solutions to really getting and expanding the value beyond what we're able to traditionally as the sellers of lighting products, right? What we're able to do and affect in terms of value to the space itself.
Yeah.
So I don't see any other questions, Chris. You want to advance the last slide and we'll kind of wrap up the session. Again, thanks, Chris, for joining us and for your time, and I want to also thank the audience for joining us. Just a look at next week's session and what's coming. On Monday will be our first design session, and Mondays will be typically centered around a design element. So we'll be looking at the recommended practice and concentrating on the classroom space in terms of what that looks like and what products we have to kind of service that space. Shirley Coyle will be rejoining us on Wednesday for her second part of her three-part series around well lighting. That first session is now available on YouTube. So if you didn't catch that, go to the Cree Lighting YouTube channel. Also subscribe to that. We can share that first session with you, and then Chris's session will also be posted within 24 hours of the conclusion. So the content will be built out, and you can view it there as well. And then next Friday, Chris will be rejoining us. As he mentioned, we'll be talking about the Internet of Things on next Friday. So with that, again, thanks for joining us. If you do have any feedback to share, please feel free to drop me a note. If you have any questions for Chris, you can contact him directly as well. Thanks, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Friday and enjoy your weekends. Thanks.
Thanks, everybody.